नमस्कार. गोमंतक टीव्हीचेर अस्मिता ह्या कार्यावळीन तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार. बायल जर मनान हाडी जाल्यार कसलेय रेव्होल्यूशन घडून हाडू शकता. आणि अशेंच रेव्होल्यूशन हाडणारे काम करता आमचे आयचे दोन अस्तुरी. तांचे हे काम कितें आनी ती कितें करतात हे जाणून घेवपाक आमी आयल्या अंजुना हांगासर. तर वचूया आनी मेळुया तांकां आनी जाणून घेवया तांचो रेव्होल्यूशनरी वेंचर कितें तो. विजया जोसेफीन पायस ऑफबीट गोवा आणि गुड कर्मा ट्रेजर शॉपचे फाउंडर. आपल्या उद्योगांतल्यान ते खूबशी सामाजिक कार्य करता. समाजातल्या गरजू लोकांक मजत करता. थ्रिफ्ट शॉप हो ताचो एक आगळो वेगळो असो धाडसी उपक्रम. शुलेन फर्नांडीस हे गेली 20 वर्सां फॅशन बिझनेसान आसा. नामनेचे फॅशन डिझायनर वेंडेल रॉड्रिगीस हांच्या खातीर क्रिएटिव्ह हेड म्हणून ताणें काम केलां. ताकाय समाज कार्याची आवड आनी वेगळे कितें तरी करपाक लागून ते विजयाच्या ह्या थ्रिफ्ट शॉपान ताचे वांगडी जाले. अस्मितायच्या आयच्या भागान आमचे बरोबर आसा आमची आयची दोन सोयरी जी समाजान एक कितें तरी वेगळे करपाचो प्रयत्न करतात. तांचो हो वेगळो प्रयत्न कितें आसा आनी तांचो वेगळो वेंचर कितें आसा हे जाणून घेवपाक आज ही आमच्या बरोबर आसा. मेळुया आमच्या आयच्या दोन सोयऱ्यांक. शुलेन, विजया, वेलकम टू आवर शो अस्मिताय. वॉट इज युअर वेंचर अबाउट? वॉट इज दिस कॉन्सेप्ट अँड वॉट इज गुड कर्मा ऑल अबाउट?
So thrifting is basically the sale of something that is already pre-used. A lot of thrift stores, for example, they'll buy something from somewhere else and then resell it. But that's not what we want to promote. What we want to promote is where people actually donate things that are excess in their homes. There could be clothes, bags, books, accessories, home decor, furniture. It's just something that you're hoarding and, like holding on to it. But this is an opportunity for you to let go of that stuff. You can donate it to us. We have 5 drop-off points in Goa. And then we sell it over here at the shop. And we also have an online platform. And then part of the proceeds go to a different local NGO every month. So the whole idea behind it is to expand the life cycle of a piece of clothing or a piece of furniture or jewelry, whatever it is. Instead of it going to a landfill or becoming trash, the life cycle of it is basically increased, which in effect helps ginormously in the environmental sense. Yeah.
So it's a sustainable, it's a part of sustainable living, and which eventually is going to add up and make a difference to the entire planet and everyone living on it, because everyone just consumes mindlessly or maybe with a thought, but then when they discard things or give things away, they don't think about it very consciously. And this is one of the things where if someone has some clothes or home stuff or kitchenware, you can donate it. And I think through the 1 year especially that I've been with the shop, it's been interesting because a lot of people actually thank us more so because they didn't know what to do with these things instead of just throwing it away. And now they have a place to come and give it to. And then when we tied in the whole charity thing, which is great because it also brings awareness to what these NGOs do in Goa. And for them, they realize that not only are they giving things away, but they're also going to help someone who needs some amount of finances, right, to be able to do work and uplift society. So essentially, we're trying to work with a sustainable lifestyle and get the attention of people to understand that they can do it in little ways within their homes.
तुम्ही सगळ्यांनी आयकलां आसतलें की थ्रिफ्ट शॉप म्हणून आसता, पण ते कितें एक्झॅक्टली हे कोणाक खबरूय नाशिल्लें. कित्याक प्रत्येकाच्या घरान हे कपडे आसतात आनी जेन्ना कपडे चड येता तेन्ना आमकां कळना की बाबा कपड्यांची करचें तरी कितें. कपडेच न्ही, बाकीचे खुबशे वस्तू आसतात ज्यो आमी घरान हाडीत आसतात आनी खंय तरी अपग्रेड करतात आमी आमचे जे सामान हाडटात ते. पण जेन्ना आमी नवीन सामान हाडटा पण पोन्न्या सामानाचें कितें करप हो एक व्हडलें टेन्शन आसता, प्रत्येक घरान आसता. आनी हाजें बेस्ट सोल्युशन हांगासर तुमकां मेळटलें की हांगा आतां जस्ट आमकां सांगलें तेंच्यांनी की ते कशी हांगासर सगळें सामान हाडटात आनी परते ती कशी यूज करतात ते. सो म्हाका दिसता प्रत्येका खातीर हे बेस्ट हांगासर हो स्पॉट आसा. तुमकां जर तुमचे घरान जर वेगवेगळे कपडे आसा किंवा कसलें सामान आसा जे तुमकां भायर दिवपाक जाय, दीस इज द रायट प्लेस. So how did you come up with this concept?
So it started in 2016 actually. I had a lot of clothes that I wanted to give away, and we normally always think of like an orphanage or an old age home, but I knew that neither of them would be interested in wearing my clothes. So I spoke to a few friends and I got a bunch of other people to donate, and I had a sale at a friend's restaurant, and it was a lot of people came to that pop-up market. It was my first. And the money that we generated from that sale, I gave to the orphanage. I gave the entire amount. It was just before Christmas. So I started doing pop-ups every few months at different places, and I would put a post out again on Offbeat Goa, and a lot of people would donate. A lot of people would come and volunteer to help sort all of this stuff out. But just doing it as a pop-up was physically very difficult, logistically also a bit hard. So since December 2020 is when we started the shop over here, and also launched an online website. It's called goodkarmatreasureshop.com, and we still do pop-ups. We'll do a pop-up once a month now in a different place, just so that it's more easily accessible to people in different places, because this is in Anjuna, and we also have our baby and kids section in Asagao at the Asagao Birthing Center. But like say someone from Panjim or someone from the south or someone from Moira, that side, they find it difficult to come here, so we do a pop-up once a month in a different place.
Shilin, how did you get inspired to be a part of like this venture?
So, I've been in the fashion business for a very long time, but from the onset, when I passed out design school, I came to Goa and started working with Wendell Rodrigues, who's one of the biggest names in fashion over the last 3 decades. And with that label, like with everything, right? When you're in school, you learn things from your environment early on. So from my design life early on, I learned about sustainability with Wendell, because at that time he was also using fabrics that were organic and woven, like they were hand loom, because these are things that are now becoming super popular, but he was one of the only designers who brought that to India back then, like in the early 90s, put khadi on the ram. So early on I had a very interesting learning from that brand. And for me, that has always been a way of life. I don't believe in being wasteful. And it's also my family, the values that we've been brought up with is to always be mindful of everything in life. So I think when I've known Vijaya for like over 10 years about. So when I left the brand last year, because, I wanted to move on from there. And Vijaya said that, why don't you perhaps come on board? She never set up a store, run it. I mean, she was doing it as she understood it. And so I thought that was really nice, because, Wendell was a great mentor. And one of the things he always told me was, when you have the time in your life to give to charity in any way, you should always try and do it once a month or once a week, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours. And that always stayed with me. And this is great because I understand fashion from a perspective that she did. And setting up the store is something that I came with some amount of expertise, knowing how to do it a little more naturally, because she did it from her understanding of it. And then we put the store together. Our whole purpose with the store, which I found extremely interesting, because I like to learn regularly, and this is a new thing for me also to, involve myself with. So that lampshade inside, which perhaps you see when we get into this store, was made out of branches that fell from the tree during.
It was really creative.
Yeah, during the cyclone. So we took a month and a half during the lockdown. The 3 of us, the whole girl team that we sat and we put it all together.
Okay, that was your idea.
Yeah, so we designed it here. We made it ourselves. We got some help to even like hoist it. We were involved with the renovation of the stores entirely, the store, and our whole purpose again was to upcycle everything. Everything that's in there is basically what was donated. Very, very little, maybe like 0.1% has been bought just to, organize it better. But everything has been donated. We've sat and hand painted it, upcycled, and made it look like the store that it is today. And we're very happy with the way it turned out. And thankfully, the lockdown helped us, to get that time to organize it. So when people came in, I think post the lockdown, they were really happy to also see that it's, looking like a really nice store. And we take great pride in that, because the shock value when you walk into a thrift store, you don't expect it to look as nice as perhaps this does. So people who came in before and later, they were quite happy. Even young kids who come in, the perspective is also something that I love to engage with, because a lot of people come in and they are so happy with what we do. Reduce waste, plus you get some amount of vintage, which is now, abroad vintage and thrifting has been huge, but in India it's just taken off on a different scale. So walking into the store every day, engaging with people and just seeing the appreciation that you get for doing what we're doing is huge. So for me, that's always been something that I really love with the Good Karma Treasure Shop.
Shilin just mentioned that she was already in this fashion business. But for you, this was something really new. So how did you manage all this? Was it very difficult for you?
Well, honestly, the reason why I'm doing this was not mainly from a fashion angle, but more from a sustainability angle. Because I had this realization that, say, in India, we're 1.3 billion people, in the world, we are 8 billion plus. And now, with our access to retail, like online retail shopping, it's very easy to get on an Amazon or any online platform and buy a few things. So, retail therapy is huge. So people are buying and buying and buying and buying. Whereas our consumption has gone up to such a crazy extent, we don't really think about where it goes once we've trashed it. So, for example, if it's a blended fabric, so it's like it's polyester mixed with cotton, it cannot be broken down. And for, say, okay, a cotton to break down, it takes this much of time. For a mixed fabric, it takes this much time. So all of that realization was like, okay, we're just buying, buying, buying. What happens after it's gone? So for me, that was the main reason why I was really passionate about pushing this thing. And so, like she said, yes, I did it within, my means and whatever I could do. But it was me and, she now works with us at the shop. She's our shop assistant. So they were just the two of us working on it. And there was only that much I could do just, by myself. So when Shulen got on board, she brought in her whole fresh new perspective of fashion and, styling and looking at it in that sort of sense. So then together, it's sort of taken off to another level, which is great, because the whole idea is to break this mindset in people's minds. In India, buying secondhand still has that slight connotation, right? It's juta or whatever. But if you start educating people about this, then they start changing. So thrifting is very big in the Western world, but here it's still not very popular. So the whole idea is to break that mindset and get more people to start shopping secondhand, basically.
So basically, what were the challenges you came across? Like, what challenges you had while you initially started this store?
It's been a lot of learning. So I have never had to run a store. A lot of it was just trial and error, learning as I go, figuring things out. It was very interesting. I wouldn't say it was challenging, but it was also fun and always
fun.
great learning.
Every time we keep moving the furniture to accommodate donations sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. It's never a dull day.
Yeah, and we're still learning, right? And also as it's growing, now we realize, okay, we probably need a space for a new store. So we're now looking at maybe something in Panjam or something in the south, because the whole idea is we just want it to be more accessible to as many people as possible. And if you see the clothes that our store, you will not even think it's secondhand. They're really, really, really nice clothes. We have brands like Zara and Forever 21 and H&M, which are like local high street brands, but we also have very high-end designer brands. We have international designer brands coming in. Like, it's always a treasure finding things here. So it's the treasure shop. But yeah.
Okay, so like, how do you connect with your donors and the buyers who want to come here? Like, how do you get connected with them? Like, how do they reach out to you?
So we mainly use Instagram, Facebook, social media channels. Like I said, Offbeat Goa is generally a very large platform, so it's easy enough to tap into my own network, which is quite big. But we also have a lot of people who walk in, then we take down their contact details, and then we message people every time we have a sale. So how do we reach people is mainly on social media through WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook.
What are the different activities you have in your store?
So, what we do at the store every month is we have a 100 rupee drop, like a 100 rupee drop down sale, wherein we drop prices. Everything is flat at 100 rupees, which gets in a lot of people. And besides that, we also do a giveaway day, wherein so again tying in with what we are saying about sustainability, what we do is we get regular donations, then we put it out at nominal prices for people to buy when it's a fresh stock, and then after a few weeks, whatever doesn't sell, we put that at like a 100 rupee drop down sale, so people get it at a steal, and then whatever stays back from that is what we also give away. So that's the giveaway day, wherein we keep them in boxes. People can just come and like collect whatever they like, and sometimes you really get really cool things in a giveaway, and that's the whole thrill about thrifting and treasure shopping is you literally find little treasures of whatever. So it could be clothes or little knickknacks. Obviously, like furniture is impossible to give away like that. But you'll get like a little trinket or like a little cup sometimes that someone finds some purpose, and the joy that they get about getting something free is also is nice to have that energy, because people really get a thrill out of getting a little treasure from a store like this. Besides that,
Pop-up.
yeah, we do once in a month a pop up in different places away from Anjuna, and preferably say in Panjim. We've done one in Moira, we've done one in Sangolda. So it gives access to a lot more people to come to our business. And I think beyond that, the whole purpose why we also started the pop up is to get the thrift shop a little more visibility, because thrifting as an idea is something people need to engage with. So if we've done it at a restaurant, say in Moira or a cafe in Moira, they are regular. If so, whenever we've done a pop up, say at in Moira in a cafe or a restaurant in Panjim, their regular clientele also gets exposed to this. So then we are trying to convert a certain mindset. We're also trying to establish us and who we are and what we do, and the entire purpose of sustainable living and circular fashion, preferably. So yeah, these are the three main things we do. We're probably gonna start looking at doing other interesting swaps or things. It just takes a little more planning. So we also have our online shop, which is a web shop on our website, goodkarmatreasureshop.com, and we sell. So we want to be accessible to a national audience, and hopefully in the future an international audience.
You are into many social activities, right? So what are they?
So through the Good Karma Treasure Shop, we donate part of the proceeds every month to a different local level NGO. And it's not just about raising money for this NGO. A lot of what I do as Offbeat Goa is community building. So there may be a lot of NGOs who are doing great work, but they don't have very good social media presence. So they do need support. So yes, of course, they need money. But beyond that, they may need, say, somebody to help them with their social media. Maybe they need tabs and laptops for the kids, or volunteers, or they may need any number of other things. So we don't just talk about the NGO. We also ask them if they need something, and then we promote that on all of our platforms as well.
We ask people if they can directly donate to the NGOs.
Yes,
as
they
well.
can directly donate.
It's not like it has to be via us. We also, whenever we put out, information about the NGO, we always say you can reach out to the NGO directly. So it's really about, as she says, it's about community building for us.
And the kind of NGOs that we've helped have ranged from, underprivileged children, senior citizens, environmental issues, people and families suffering from HIV, like cross section,
Like
women's,
bilateral
yeah, a lot of like
work for,
empowering for women.
Women who need help, like from domestic abuse
Domestic
and all
abuse,
of that. So it's a myriad NGOs and their purposes that we try.
So are you connected to some of the NGOs there?
Not connected to anybody. The whole idea is to just help other people in the community who need assistance. So for us, we definitely want to give back. So yes, we give back in form of funds. But like I said, they need any number of things besides funds. And because they don't have a social media presence, they're too busy doing their work. We use our platforms to highlight what they need and what they're doing and all of that stuff.
So as you said that 25% of your profits you give it to an NGO, right? Yeah. So how do you recognize a particular NGO? Is it to a particular NGO or just randomly?
It's any kind of NGO. The main thing is it has to be Goa specific. We want to keep it within the local economy. So we will not give to any NGO that is not from Goa or present in Goa. And through friends or through social media, through various places, or sometimes an NGO will get in touch with us directly. Then we do some research and check on them, check all their links and all of that stuff. And if they fit the bill, then we help them out. A lot of animal shelters, many different ones.
And how do you manage your expenses from all this? Like, is it like workable or how it is?
It's feasible enough, and because this concept is also picking up well. Of course, all our clothes are very nominally priced, but it is also something that we want to do to give back. So yes, of course, it covers our time and energy, not crazy, but like yeah, it's good enough.
So when you get the clothes here, do you need to do some maintenance on them, or you have to do some polishing, finishing for that?
No, we do segregate all of these clothes, so we'll
So,
go
and
through
also
it.
when we put a call out for donations,
Yeah.
we insist on having clean home laundered or professionally laundered clothes, because we're a very small team, and considering the cost of what things are selling, it's impossible for us to launder each and every item. But that being said, we sift through everything. It has to like be clean for it to go on the racks. If it's not, then we put it away. We get it laundered if it's something that can be sold forth. There are times people give us absolute rubbish, sadly, and we have to sift through every single thing. We don't put everything that's given ideally on the racks, because some of it doesn't work. But yeah, that's something that we ensure, because it's anyway, it's still retail at some level, and people do like to come and buy nice things. And we have a 50 rupee box where things are a little worn out, but will still find purpose. So we have different levels of merchandise. In the 50 rupee box, there are people who actually come and buy things for different things. Maybe they use it to upcycle it. So yeah, we kind of look at it in different ways, but it's definitely a sort.
But how is the response from the those who are donating and from the buyer's side? What is it like? How it is?
I think it's amazing because they understand the purpose. Once they do, then everyone's so happy to give, because honestly, half of the time people don't know where to give good clothes, because you can give it to your house help maybe, but are they going to wear a fancy dress? So then they find like, wow, there's a space to, at least we know that our clothes are going to a decent space, and someone who really enjoy it will buy it. So that giving and tying in with charity, and that buying and tying in with charity, is a great energy. Like, I feel absolutely great coming here, because it's always a feel good space, because it's good karma.
And you always feel happy when you see somebody else in your clothes, because you're like, I really bought it, paid money, and really like it. And then when I'm done with it, but then when I see somebody appreciating it and wearing it, and I'm like, okay, at least it's
There are times
doing
we've
its
got things and we've seen it, like
Yeah.
we've donated, and suddenly you see it on
see
someone,
somebody else.
a friend, and you're like, oh, that's mine, I donated it.
And that's
So
always
it's
fun.
kind of,
They're like, yeah, it's the good karma treasure shop
yeah, it's
way.
kind of a happy feeling.
But in terms of people buying, so what we've noticed is, yes, there are a lot of locals that come. There are a lot of settlers that will come. A lot of foreigners come because they are anyway used to it, because that's how they shop in their countries. A lot of young urban travelers from, say, like a Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, young kids who are, you know, in Goa for like a short trip. They find the shop and they come here and shop because they only thrift. They don't buy brand new clothes ever. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Is it? So there are people who only use used clothes. Is it true?
Yes, that's the way.
Because
That's you're promoting sustainable fashion like that. So that's they're very aware of like this environmental issue that's actually very, very big. It's like the largest cause of carbon emissions, textile waste. So if you're talking about climate change, this is actually one of the largest contributors to climate change. Then we have another section of people who come in, they don't realize it's a thrift store, and then they walk in and they're like, oh my God, it's secondhand. And so we then explain to them this whole thing about how, we're promoting this, that, whatever. And then once they understand that, they're like, okay, I want to support this. I will buy a few things, even if I give it to whomever. I'm not going to wear it, but I want to support this. So you can see that there has been some sort of shift in their mindset. So that's great.
And
So-
some people who don't even end up buying sometimes just donate money.
Yeah.
So that's great, and they always appreciate what we do.
Yeah.
Even the young people who come and buy, they're going to outlive the rest of us. So they definitely have a major agenda to follow this, because they ask the important questions now with brands. I know young kids who look at brands and what they stand for. What are their policies on on being sustainable, and they also check the carbon footprint of products, because it's not like you can ship something from the US, but that comes via a certain cartage. So they're very conscious in the way they think, which is phenomenal, because I think I guess the challenge essentially for people who walk in the store with us is the older generation who still doesn't understand stuff like this. But yeah. the younger kids definitely look at it with a very important agenda now, and that's very heartening to know, because this planet really needs that kind of conscious way of going through life with a purpose of not just consuming.
So we can say in short, like this is really a revolutionary venture sort of. So are you looking forward to set up some new ventures in future?
So, like, what I do in a broader sense, like with Offbeat Goa, is promoting sustainability. Not so. This is promoting fashion and shopping. Uh, it's mainly we really need to start rethinking in the way you travel, in the way you live, in the way you eat, the way you do business, the way you shop. In all of these things, we have to change and become more mindful, especially if you have children. I think because you have to start thinking what kind of planet are we leaving for these kids or your grandchildren, right? We can't just keep consuming and then not have any sort of forethought. So a lot of the initiatives and a lot of what I'm trying to promote is promoting sustainability in that sense. So like I have a market called the New Earth Gathering, which again is substitutes for your single use plastic, how to grow your own food. All of the products are chemical free, pesticide free, toxin free. The vegetables are naturally grown. I won't say organic, but naturally grown without pesticides. The groceries are organic, all of that stuff. Then we also have the Sisterhood of Goa, which is like a women's empowerment meetup. So we have free sessions like self-defense. We've had a lawyer come in and talk about your legal rights in terms of street harassment, investment, how to grow and manage your money. So basically, if there are problems that one sees, especially in this little state of Goa, is very Goa centric. So it's how can we help people in Goa transition into this way of living, so that as a community we can all, live a much better life, just as a whole.
We have come to the end of this episode, but I would like you to give a message to all our viewers.
Well, for me, the message is really, we really need to start being more mindful about all our choices, how you shop, how you eat, how all of the things. We just need to start putting some amount of thought into it before we make a decision, especially when it comes to consuming. And because that in effect will have a much larger impact in the bigger picture. So that is really something that I think that we as a collective really need to start paying attention to.
Pretty much going to just agree with everything that Vijaya said. And adding on, I just think that lose certain inhibitions when it comes to secondhand stuff, because that's the major driving point that we're trying to do. We all have had fancy lifestyles in the past, and we've come to a realization that now we've got to change the way we live, and is as simple as maybe switching off the light bulb or the fan in another room that you're not sitting in. It's simple measures. You can adapt and employ whatever works for you. But I think it's now lose inhibitions about just the way you've been living and move forward with a slightly more open mind to accepting sustainable living in ways you can really employ them one-on-one in your home with your family, with your kids, and spread the word in a nice way, because we all need to do this for the generation that has to live beyond us.
तुम्ही ज्या समाजान रावतात त्या समाजा खातीर कितें तरी करचें सगळ्यांचेच आमचें कर्तव्य आसा. आनी तुमच्या लायफान मातसो बदल वा हाडपाकूच जाय. आमच्या जे विचारांनी आमी मातसो बदल हाडून आमी एक समाजान आमी एक बदल हाडूं शकता. हीच आमची मेसेज घेवन आमी आमच्या आयची कार्यावळ हांगाच सोंपयतात. शुलेन आनी विजया आमच्या ह्या शोचेर आयली, ताका लागून खरेंच आमकां खूब कितें कळ्ळें आनी तांचे कडल्यान खूब शिकपा सारकें आशिल्लें. सो डेफिनेटली तुमी हो शो एन्जॉय केला आसतलो. It was really a pleasure to have you on this show, and I'm really very much thankful to both of you. Thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. It was really nice having this chat. Yeah.
Thank you. अस्मितायचो आमचो आयचो भाग हांगाच सोंपतात. फुडल्या भागान मेळुया अशाच एका अस्तुरे कडेन एक वेगळी ओळख करून घेवपाक तांची. तोपर्यंत पळयत रावात गोमंतक टीव्ही. देव बरें करूं.